blessings at this time of year of the summer solstice, of Midsummer and of Litha. Litha is a name we use in the pagan sense. It is named other things in other traditions and in other pantheons. But I personally use Litha or summer solstice. And summer solstice is the time when the day is the longest. And that would be today. So the sun rose at 4:36 this morning, and I was out there welcoming the sun into my life and bringing healing and protection and luck and perhaps even a little bit of love into my life, as well as prosperity. It's a time of year when we can renew our dedication to the goddess and God. And it is, to me, a time of year of the god rather than the goddess. Now, the god is reborn at Yule, December the 21st, and he grows through this whole time. And as we reach Beltane, the god and goddess copulate and they fertilize the land with their seed. And now we are here and everything is fully grown. Everything is flowering. Seeds are growing. The crops are starting to ripen towards the harvest. So I always welcome the god at this time. For me, the sun represents the god. In other pantheons and beliefs, the sun can be the goddess, but to me, the sun is God and the moon is the goddess. So I would welcome in Apollo, for example, as a fire god or a sun god, or Horus if you're working with the Egyptian pantheon, whichever feels right for you. I generally work with Morrigan, and the crows have been shouting at me for the past 2 weeks. I think they're baby crows. I think the mummies and daddies have kicked them out of the nest and they're now trying to find their own nests. And a lot of them seem to be congregating on the roof of my house. But I am welcoming in Brigid at this time of year. She is a fire goddess. She's a triple goddess. And strangely, I've worked with her energy a lot this year. I worked with her at Beltane. I worked with her at Imbolc and at Ostara. So you're working with what feels right for you at the time of year. I want to start off with a little poem that I found. Blessed Litha, sacred fire, magical sunrise stirs desire. Queen of heaven and of earth, we celebrate your bright rebirth. We see your first blessed rays in these magical solstice days, ascending cycle to fulfill, dancing on the silver hill. Lilies burn with your desire, intoxicating spirit fire, as oak and myrrh and mugwort burn, elder, chamomile and fern. The sacred serpent eats the spring, then brings autumn on the wing. Burning wreaths of sweet vervain, the goddess will return again. And that is by Martha Magenta from the 16th of June 2011. I think there's a lot in there that you can take out and put into your life. However, again, she talks about the Queen of Heaven being the sun, whereas for me, the Queen of Heaven will always be the moon. And as I say, for me, the god is the sun. And I work with the horned god as well. So that is Cernunnos. He is a powerful, fertile god to work with and very much on the Celtic path. So what can we do at this time of year as a pagan or a witch, however you see yourself in your own pantheon? As I say, it is a time to perform all kinds of magic, whether that is prosperity, luck, healing, love, romance, or just a general spell. I also like to include healing for the world in my spells because we are in such a dark time right now. All of the sabbats, to me, all 8 of them, consist of using a fire and lighting a fire. And I'm not talking about arson. I'm talking about using your fire pit, making sure that your fire is safe, and make sure that you have a bucket of water or some sand next to you, or even both, or even a hose pipe next to you, because it's so dry at the moment. So if you do decide to have a fire, please make sure you take those precautions Very, very, very important, and I cannot stress that enough. When I looked around the fields this morning, I can see that the wheat and the barley is growing. And when I drove to Clumber on Thursday, there were fields of purple flowers, and I have no idea what they were, but there were loads of fields full of them. I don't know if it was garlic, because I couldn't smell garlic. Normally you can smell garlic, but beautiful purple flowers. So if anybody knows what they are, please let me know. But they're definitely a crop, because I saw the farmers planting them earlier in the year. So how can we celebrate Litha or Midsummer besides obviously having a fire? And that fire is used to purify and cleanse. You could use it to cook your food. You could use it to cleanse away any negative energy around you. You may want to throw some herbs or anything that you need to get rid of onto the fire. So herbs to use would be things like sunflowers, although you might not want to burn them. Mugwort is always a good one to use at this time of year. So throw some mugwort into the fire and allow that smoke to sort of bless you and cleanse you, because mugwort can be incredibly magical. And I also at this time of year like to work with the fairies. Midsummer is a time of fairies, and they're very naughty at this time of year. You may notice things going missing. You may notice perhaps a fairy ring in your garden, perhaps a little bit of mischief going on around you. Excuse me, I love working with the fairies, and I always leave them a little bit of an offering. They like sweet things. They like popcorn. They like chocolate. They also like Coca-Cola because it's very sweet. You can give your libation in whatever way you want to, but always leave a little offering for them, because otherwise they may cause a little bit of chaos in your house. A book that I've just started reading is A Fairy Treasury. I ordered this recently. It's by Jackie Newcomb and Alison Geddes Ward. I've only just started reading it, so I intend to read that later on today. So what other things can you do at this time of year? I like to do a reading for myself. At every Sabbath, I do a tarot and crystal reading. I read the tarot it's a version of the Celtic Cross, but I use it in an elemental spread. I am thinking of doing some readings online in the future, and perhaps also some private readings. I used to do it in the past, so I am looking at that for the future. But Litha, Midsummer, falls between the 20th and the 23rd, and it is a lot of pagans will celebrate it on the 21st. However, I like to work with the actual time of that energy. So for me, being sunrise and sunset today, with it being the chronological longest day. So I'll probably go out later on this evening and watch the sunset. I think it's around 9:45. Zodiac sign, of course, Cancer or Leo, because you're at the cusp. Symbols of Litha are creativity, vitality, healing and renewal. So it's a good day to paint, draw, make something that means something to you, self-healing. And I like to use crystals for my healing. I like to do a lot of meditation with them. Crystals that you can use, I've got tiger's eye here. I don't know if you can see that. Beautiful piece of tiger's eye. That's a grounding crystal for me, but with the golden tiger's eye, it's lovely to welcome in that warmth. I also use red jasper. So that's just a piece of red jasper. Again, it's a grounding crystal connecting you to the earth, but with it being red, to me, it is fire energy, it's passion, it's creativity. I also like to use yellow calcite. As you can see there, nice piece of yellow calcite. Absolutely fabulous for healing, especially around the solar plexus chakra. It helps to bring confidence into your life and to bring positive energy in. Then I also like to use citrine, beautiful piece of citrine there. I hope you can see it. It's sort of quite almost opaque with its, or translucent, sorry, with its, or transparent rather, with its facets inside. This brings prosperity as well as healing. And then I also like to use yellow jasper, which is another strong crystal for the solar plexus, but also for grounding. Now, all these yellowy, orange and golden crystals bring prosperity into your life, bring grounding, bring healing, and help you gain self-confidence. And that's something that's very important in today's age, today's world, is having the confidence to do the things that you want to do. Many witches or pagans are still what we call in the broom closet because of the way that some of us are viewed. Now, I've been out of the broom closet for many, many years now. I've never been afraid to say that I'm a witch. You know, a lot of people say, oh, you're a witch, are you a Satanist? No, I'm not a Satanist. I do not worship Satan at all. He does not exist in my craft at all. I'm possibly what you would call a grey witch. I work with the dark and the light, both equally, to keep in balance. The animals of Litha are horses, cattle, hummingbirds, and celebrating the sun. And for me, they're also butterflies and bees. This morning on my run, loads of butterflies, and just absolutely beautiful to see the amount of insects that we have out there at the moment. Ladybirds are another one, and if you have roses, ladybirds on your roses help to eat the aphids. The deities that you can call on: Gala Fairy, Juno, Apollo, Solstice, she is a goddess of water, Anne, and Kuan Yin. But I today am calling on Isis. For me, she is the goddess of light, the goddess of beautiful energy, as well as Brigid. So I'll be calling on both of those, and the god Kernunos. Herbs and flowers that you can use: sunflower, St. John's wort, chamomile, mugwort, lemon balm, yarrow, lavender, and meadow sweet. Now, this morning when I went out to watch the sunrise, I could smell calendula, and I do not know where it was coming from because there was nobody else up. Everything was quiet and still, besides the birds and the cats that were with me. They were all very confused this morning, thinking, what on earth is she doing? She's out here barefoot, standing in the garden, muttering words under her breath, and she's not fed us. She's not normally up at this time. So they're very confused and all waiting for the dinner. Colours: red, orange, yellow, and gold. So if you want to wear something that to you represents the energy around midsummer, you can wear those. I'm wearing a new dress that I bought this year. It's got strawberries on, and to me, strawberries are really, really potent at this time of year. And also, we've just had the strawberry moon as well. Food that you can eat: fruits and berries, vegetables, bread, honey, mead, love mead, grilled foods, and frozen treats. So I'm not vegetarian. I shall be having a piece of steak this evening, and I'm also baking some jam tarts, some strawberry jam tarts. I know, very old-fashioned of me, but it's pre-rolled pastry. It just makes my life a little bit easier. Incense and oils that you may want to use: sandalwood, frankincense, myrrh, orange, lemon, rosemary, cedar, and ginger. And the crystals and stones I have already mentioned. Now, one book that you may want to, well, two books actually here, that you may want to have a look at and add to your collection. And one of them, this one, was probably one of the first books that I read about paganism and witchcraft. And it's actually Wicca, which is a nice way to start and to get into the craft. It's a very gentle practice. And it's Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham. Scott is now no longer with us on this plane, but his books have some excellent written work in them that you may want to incorporate. And then there is the series by Judica Illes, or Isles. The 1000 Spell book is one of them. I've actually got all 4 books, 3 of which were donated from a wonderful neighbour. And this is the Element Encyclopedia. As you can see, it's a very, very, very thick book of witchcraft. And I did note out a couple of pages here about Litha, or midsummer, summer solstice. and this talks about Wicca here, so I'm going to read this out to you. The Wiccan Sabbath that corresponds to the summer solstice and thus to Midsummer's and St. John's Eve is Litha. However, unlike Midsummer's, there is no fixed calendar date. As I said, it works with the time and the length of the day. Rather, Litha is celebrated at the exact conjunction of the solstice on whatever day it falls, approximately the 21st of June, which is today, when the sun is at its height and the longest day of the year. The name Litha seems to derive from ancient Germanic calendar, which was apparently divided sixfold rather than the 12 that we have now. Each year was divided into 60-day tides, what might be considered a double month. So Litha seems to have named the summer tides. Also see Midsummer's Eve. And then one thing that I found here about the Sabbats that witches celebrate is they're always nocturnal. Now, yes, if you were to watch the Stonehenge sunset last night and sunrise, normally what we would do as witches is watch the sunset at in the evening before the solstice and then watch the sunrise, and we would stay awake all night, a kind of vigil, which is lovely and easy to do in summer. Midwinter one is very hard because it's very long. I unfortunately couldn't last night because I've got this race next weekend, so I needed my sleep for my training. Sleep is very important for training, believe me. So Sabbats were always nocturnal and always ended at daybreak. The rooster crows and the witches disperse. Before there were notions of Dracula and blood-sucking bats, the word vampire was used in the Balkans to refer to witches. The legend that vampires must hide from the sunlight and that their power is broken at dawn may derive from this concept. So these are two excellent books. I mean, this is a huge book. I use it more for reference than anything else. I just marked those couple of pages for you today. So let me know in the comment section how you celebrate Midsummer. What do you do at Midsummer? As I say, I'm going to be cooking myself a nice piece of steak. If we've just had a bit of rain, actually, which is quite refreshing. If the rain stays off, I will light myself a fire later on and watch the sunset. And I'm also baking myself some jam tarts. I will not be partaking of any alcoholic beverages because I'm in training. So that will have to wait until my race next weekend. So I just want to wish you all a wonderful Midsummer. Whatever you do, remember to leave an offering out for the Fae. It is also good practice to give an offering to the goddess and god as well, which I do after every ritual or spell that I perform, because it shows that you are giving something of yourself. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, day, however you celebrate. Blessed be.